with Amy K YouTube Live, and today I'm going to show you how I made a card with the Marigold Moments stamp set bundle, which is one of my favorite ones from the current January to April 2023 mini catalog from Stampin' Up! So it makes really pretty marigold images. There are marigolds that you can stamp like I did with this one, or there are layering pieces that you can actually create with the dies. And like I said, I just used the stamped version today. I didn't do anything with the dies that are designed to work all by themselves, but I don't know, lots of pretty options with this, and I love the sentiments in it, love the font in the sentiments, love the mixed fonts. Again, I just think it's a really good stamp set. I love that it also has a Mother's Day sentiment in it, but yet you can mix and match. This would certainly work for a birthday card or anything like that as well, so anytime you can use flowers, I think it works. So. All right, so this is the card we're going to be making today. And hey, Penny and Karen, thanks for hopping in today. I appreciate you being here. So this is a card we're going to be making today, and let's get started with the stamp set. So here it is. I already talked about the fonts. I love the mixed fonts in these, and love the floral images in it. And I love two-step stamping. That's one of my favorite things. How you can get a lot of, I don't know, really pretty images with just, you know, two stamps. That's all it took, really, to stamp the flowers on here. And it's a really easy set to use. It's photopolymer, so you can see through it and see exactly where you're stamping. And then there are the coordinating dies. So we've got they are the Marigold Moments dies, and I love that they're now naming them the same thing. So we've got the open dies that cut out the stamped images. So there's the large floral spray image, the greenery, the stems and leaves, all that sort of thing here. And then there's also, this one actually cuts out the smaller of the stamped flowers. So, hey, Lenny, thanks for being here. And, or is it Lonnie? I'm sorry, I probably totally said that wrong. And Sherry and Carol and Gwen, I appreciate you all joining today. So, and then there's this cool scallop die, and actually that's one that we're going to use today, and I'll show you how that one works as well. So let me set that aside and put the stamp set over here, so hopefully I don't knock it on the floor when I'm doing anything else. A couple other things that I used. I did use, this is a little banner die from the Something Fancy dies, which is another one of the new die sets from the mini catalog, so it's another good one. It is in a bundle with another stamp set, but I obviously didn't use that stamp set. I used it on this one. This is a great set of dies because they fit around a lot of different images, so definitely a good set to have. Set that aside. And then one other thing that I used on here is the Timber 3D embossing folder. So this is one of those. Oh, I'm glad you caught me live too, Deborah. Appreciate you being here. So this is one of those from the annual catalog. And again, it's a 3D, so it's a little thicker. And I'll talk with you a little bit about the little sandwich that you need to emboss with this as we are running through doing the card. So I see Darlene is here as well, and it's Lonnie. Okay, I thought so. Hawaiian spell. Okay, so I totally did say it way wrong the first time. I apologize. All right, and Linda and Ruth Ann and Akiko, thanks for joining today. I see Susan is here too from, oh my goodness, that's like middle of summer degrees for Wisconsin at 40. Phew, you guys must be like, you know, in your swimming suits and shorts today. So, only kidding, of course. It's actually not terrible here in New Jersey. It's a little cooler, but not terrible. It could be a lot worse. Considering it's January, we can't complain. So, hey, Jan, thanks for joining. Couple things. Tomorrow is the last day for my double running shoe reward points ordering bonus. I did that to start off the new catalog in celebration. So instead of getting 1 point for every $50 that you spend with me, you're going to get 2 points for every $50 in merchandise that you order with me. And that goes through tomorrow, the 11th of January. And just get double points. Normally, when you get up to 8 points, then you get a free $40 reward order from me. So that's a nice little thing. Let me know if you have questions about that. Details are posted on my blog. So, hey, Drew, thanks for hopping in, and Jean as well. And then Stampin' Up! During celebration actually has a really awesome joining promotion going on, which runs through the end of February. And we've had quite a few team members that have taken advantage of it. It's a really good deal. So if you've ever considered joining, don't pass this one up. It's one of the better ones I think they've ever done. So they have 3 different joining options. For the first 2, it's $129 that you'll pay for your starter kit. You get your choice of either the blue or the white, and I've got the little blue mini machine here. It's really cute, and it's blue, and it's, yeah, one of the new in colors from the upcoming catalog. So a little hint there on what colors we're going to be getting. That's one of them. So you can either get the boho blue or the white mini machine, and you get $175 worth of Stampin' Up! Merchandise of your choice in your starter kit. So it is a really great deal. Like I said, if you've ever considered joining, definitely now is the time, I think. This is one of the best deals they've ever done. Or if you prefer not to get the mini machine, they also have this awesome joining promotion where it's $99 and you still get to pick $175 worth of Stampin' Up! Merchandise of your choice. And then once you join, you get the demonstrator discount, which is at least 20% on anything that you order moving forward. You can attend the Stampin' Up! Demonstrator events. Lots of fun. You get to pre-order from the upcoming catalogs. So let me know if you have questions about that. I would be happy to chat with you more about it. And again, it goes through the end of February, so don't miss out. Great time to join. Okay, let's get going on the card. So, hey, Darlene, thanks for hopping in. Glad you're here as well. So my original card, I did my standard top fold card. So this is a 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5.5 across the top card base. But it also works with just your standard issue book fold. So if you prefer that fold rather than top fold like I do, this one will work as well. So this is just an 8.5 by 5.5 card base, and I've scored it down the middle at 4 1/4. And then I've got a piece, this, I don't know, it's probably 7/8 of an inch. You could probably go an inch if you wanted to. I was just trying to conserve paper because, you know, I'm cheap. So about 7/8 of an inch wide piece of the Regency Park 6x6 Designer Series papers, which is, again, it's a really pretty pack in the current mini catalog. And I'm just going to take that and we're going to stick it here across the bottom of a basic white card base. I'm just going to use a little Stampin' Seal, and I'm going to run 2 little bands of it across. All right, get that put out of the way before I stick my fingers to it. And I'm just going to take this and try to line it up here as straight as I can get it, hopefully across the bottom of the card base, and stick it down. And then I'm going to take my snips and trim it off. This originally was about a 6-inch long piece of, well, it was a 6-inch long piece of Designer Series paper. But I usually tend to have them be a little bit over the length because you can always snip it off or take your paper trimmer and trim it off. But if you've measured something a little wrong, then it's a little hard to make it stretch when you got a white spot on there. So, okay. The next thing that I did was I took a piece of basic white cardstock, and this, all the measurements are going to be on my blog tomorrow, so don't worry about writing everything down. But this is about 5 1/8 inches tall, sorry, and by 4 1/4 wide. And then I'm going to grab the Marigold Moments dies, and I'm going to take this little scallop die, and we're just going to put it here along the bottom and try to get it scooted down pretty close to the bottom. You don't have to go way, way down, but get it down close to the bottom of the panel. And we're just going to run it through the die cutting machine. So I'm going to take it, I'm going to try to make it so that the scallops are fairly evenly divided. So that's what my aim is going to be, is to try to get the scallops here in the middle. I'm going to be off screen for a second, and I'm going to run this through the die cutting machine, but I wanted to show you how I did this to start with. So again, 5 1/8 by about 4 1/4. And I'm over here a little bit away from the microphone, so I apologize. My voice will be a little far from the phone for a second. All right. Hopefully I can get this on here quickly and cut. Come on. All right, so we've got our little scallop piece, and then we have the little leftover scallop here. We're going to hang on to this because we're going to use that across the top of our card. So the hardest part about this is making sure that when you're running through, particularly this wide of a die, that you're really careful with the edges of it and that you don't catch it in your the edge of it on your die cutting machine, because it will completely bend and mangle your die. Ask me how I know, because I've done it before. There's nothing more sad than rolling your die through the machine and having it come out the other side curled around the plate, and then then it's just a sad day. So, and like I said, I've done it before, so yep. It happens. All right, so I've got this piece, and again, this started as about 5 1/8, and I just took the bottom of it off with the little die cut here. And I'm going to grab the Timber 3D embossing folder, and I'm going to just put it in here, and we will emboss it with the timber. You may or may not know, so hey, Mary Kay, thanks for hopping in, and no worries, Joanna, glad you're here. So Stampin' Up! Has a little line on most of their embossing folders that runs straight across. So if you want to line something up and know that it's straight in your embossing folder, just use that line as your guide. So I'm going to aim for it being straight here, and I'm going to run it through the die cutting machine. the plates that you use to emboss with the 3D embossing folders is you're going to use your base plate, which is plate number 1, and then you're going to put your embossing folder and paper inside it, and the hinge is going to go into the machine first, and then we're going to take plate number 4, which is the dark gray one, and that goes on the top, and that's the sandwich that you use for embossing with the thicker embossing folders, with the 3D ones. The basic embossing folders, it's a little different sandwich, but for the 3D, this is the plate, and just so you know, this sandwich does fit through other machines. You may have to play a little bit and see whether it fits in yours, but it does fit. So the 3D embossing folders I know you can use with more than one type of die cutting machine. So, all right. All right, let me put that back. And then swap out my plates so I'm set up to do die cutting again. So, all right, we're going to take that out and hopefully you can see it. I don't know how well it shows up again. I know white is sometimes a little harder to see, but got a nicely embossed image here. And then I'm going to take this little die cut that I had cut off the bottom of it originally, and I'm just going to pop out the little things. I know they're not hearts, but they kind of look like hearts to me on this. I don't know, dashes, whatever you want to call them, that it cut out here on the scallop. And I did have to pick them out. Probably if I'd run it back and forth a few times, these might have popped out and been left on the plate when I die cut it, but I only ran it through once, so they didn't. All right, I'm gonna take a little bit of multi-purpose liquid glue, which I have here, and I've got my little tweezers. I find it a little easier sometimes when I'm dealing with liquid glue. Oops, actually I wanna put it on this way around. When I'm dealing with liquid glue, to have a third hand, as in the tweezers, so that hopefully I don't stick my fingers all over in the glue, and I probably still will anyway. And I'm going to try to go really light with the liquid glue on here. Just put little tiny little dabs along the top and hope that I didn't put too much on there and end up with it stuck all over my fingers. If I do, well, I do. All right, I'm going to take this and try to carefully put it along the top of the embossed panel. Get it so that it's hopefully lined up here at the top. The other little bonus of the liquid glue is you do have a little bit of wiggle time in there, so you can kind of make sure everything's lined up. And then hold it down for a second to make sure the cutoff edges. Oh, you're liking, yeah, it is actually. I was kind of surprised that this little trimmed off edge didn't stay on here, because I kind of looked at it and I'm like, well, that'd be nice to have it along the bottom. And I'm like, I don't want to throw it away. I wanted the scalloped edge on the bottom and I didn't want to throw it away. So I thought, well, I'll just put it on the top. So, all right. So I'm going to take this then, and we are going to stick this to the card front. And again, just going to use some multi-purpose liquid glue. And I'm actually going to put it on the back of my embossed panel this time, rather than onto the card front, where I usually put it when I am adhering things. But whoops, see, there I got a little squirrely with the glue. But since this panel isn't quite as big as the card front, I want to make sure that I don't end up with any glue glops down here on this part of my card. All right, and we're going to take this, flip it over, put it here on the card base, and again, try to line it up here so that we're fairly straight, fairly even. And again, liquid glue and I generally are not good friends, but I do use it when I'm sticking things like this together, just because it gives you that little extra second of, oops, it's not quite straight, and then you can, fix it before it's stuck down forever. So, all right, there we go. And we've got the card front basically done. So, all right, let me do a little bit of stamping here. This is again just a piece of basic white cardstock, and we are going to start with the more detailed of the Marigold images. When I'm using the two-step stamps, I find it easier typically to use whatever stamp I'm going to stamp darker with. That's the one I want to stamp first. Just because, I don't know, again, when I look at it, if it works better for you the other way, you can certainly do it however it works for you, but I'm just going to tell you what works for me. So I've got Mango Melody ink, and I'm going to be stamping that full strength. And this is the more detailed of the Marigold Moments images here of the larger flowers. And we're just going to stamp that on basic white cardstock. I'm glad you like the little extra of the scallop. Like I said, it was too pretty to throw it away. So I didn't want to do that, so I figured I would use it this way. And I'm glad you guys like it too. All right, then I'm going to take the more solid of the images, and I'm going to ink that in crushed curry ink. Get that out of the way before I accidentally stick my paper on it. let me make sure I get this good and inky all over. And then we're just going to stamp it here on the grid paper. And then we're going to take it and turn it the right way around and stamp it over the top of the other images. This one is not terribly critical that you get it exactly lined up right, but it's relatively easy to line up just because I kind of looked here, and then looked down here, and that usually helps me to get lined up. So, all right, and there we go. So now you've got your two-tone, what to me looks just like marigolds. So super easy, one stamp full strength, the other one stamped off, and then you got some pretty flowers. So it is a really pretty image. I don't know. I don't think they showcased it very well in the catalog. I think it's really pretty. All right, got shaded spruce that we are going to be, hey Jackie, thanks for joining. I'm going to be inking up here. These are the little leaves. And again, same thing. I'm going to ink it, stamp it on scrap paper. Oop, you know what? That did not do a very good job of stamping on the scrap paper. I'm afraid that's better. Okay. Just was afraid that I would end up with a really uneven image, and I didn't want that. And then we've got a little leaf here. Going to do the same thing. Just ink it up, stamp it on the scrap paper, stamp it over here somewhere. And then we have this little, let me grab the stamp case and I'll show you what this is. I didn't really realize, I didn't know what it was. So there's this image and this image. Oh, I got a glare on here. So this is the image that I use, the one that's got kind of the three little prongs on it. And I'm just going to stamp it over the top of the leaves. So it gives it a little bit more definition on the leaves. You certainly don't need to do this. I just thought it added. I saw it in the catalog and I'm like, oh, that's really cool. So I think I will put that on there. So just stamping it over kind of the center of each of the leaves here. And again, just using shaded spruce ink. And yes, Jean, you just need to get it. I'm telling you, just get all the bundles and then you're never sad. So it's a good one. So, all right. That's it for the stamping on the card. Well, the sentiment, I guess we have. And let me go ahead and, since I've got everything out here, got the paper and everything, let's just do this all at once. Night of Navy ink is what I used for the sentiment, and it's just a little thanks sentiment. And again, these are all from the Marigold Moments stamp set. And I don't know what it is about that image, that thanks, but I really like it. It's one of my, I don't know, one of the favorite thanks that I've got right now. So I'm definitely using it a ton. So, and again, that was Night of Navy ink. Now I'm going to grab a couple of dies. So again, these are the Marigold Moments dies, and I'm just going to take the dies, and we are going to cut out this, and where's the leaf? Oh, there are like only three sets of leaves. No wonder why I couldn't find them. So we're going to cut out the stamped images here. And then again, this is from the Something Fancy dies, which is a different die set and stamp set. But this die fits perfectly, I think, around the little thanks sentiment. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to run it through my die cutting machine. So I will be off screen for a second as I get these all lined up. And so again, my voice will fade out for a minute, but I will be right back. So hang on, I'll be back as soon as I get everything die cut. So. Wish me luck getting it run through all in one swing. All right. Hopefully y'all are having a good Tuesday. It's been a little quiet here, thankfully, after last week. So, all right, almost have everything set up and lined up. Maybe. All right, hold your breath. We're going to try to do the die cutting. See if I got anything too crazily crooked. All right, and you get a chance to see my chewed up cutting plates. I use them until they break. So my cutting plates look awful, but they cut nicely, so I don't care. So there we go, putting all these dies back before I lose track of those. And then we've got our little die cut pieces here that we'll be able to stick onto the card front. Get that out of the way. And I'll grab some Stampin' dimensionals and we'll start sticking down the flowers first. So, yes, I do agree, Jean, that the real marigolds don't smell very yummy. But I have heard, I am not a gardening expert by any stretch, but I have heard that a lot of like the bad bugs and critters in gardens that sometimes come and eat things that we don't necessarily want them to eat. Don't like marigolds either. They think they smell bad, so they stay away. If you plant marigolds near things that you don't want to be eaten by other such critters. So keep that in mind as the non-gardener that I am, telling you gardening tips. But one of my gardening friends actually is the one who said that. I'm like, oh, makes sense, because they do smell terrible. All right, sticking that down with some little Stampin' Dimensionals. Oh, okay, I'm glad it's not just me that has plates that look like the dog has gotten a hold of them, but I don't know. They stay flatter that way, I think. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I think I will go ahead and put a little glue dot underneath this piece of the leaf, because the leaf is going to be over the top of this little flower, so I want to have something to stick it down so it's not out there moving around too much. There we go. So they do, okay, so Carol says it too. I think Mary was the one who told me that. And mosquitoes don't like them. Then maybe I ought to like cover myself in marigolds in the summer, because I am the mosquito magnet in our house. It's like the standing joke. If you want to, nobody else, one mosquito within 50 miles of here and it finds me, and I've already got a bug bite before anybody else even knows that it's there. So, oh, and deer don't like to eat. All right, see, all kinds of things I'm learning. So, all right, and we'll take this little extra greenery piece, little leaves here, and we'll just tuck those right up around the flower. And then I've got my little thanks that I have die cut with the Something Fancy dies. And this is just another piece of that Regency Park Designer Series paper. And I just cut a little piece of it with that very same die. And we're just going to stick the two together with some, it'd be helpful if I took the lid off the Stampin' Seal before I tried to apply it. So going to adhere the two die cuts together with a little bit of Stampin' Seal. And just so that they're a little bit offset, so you kind of get a little peek of the navy underneath. There we go. And then we'll do some Stampin' Dimensionals. And stick this sentiment on the card front. And you know what? I may have to pick this one off, because I'm looking at it and going, that's a little too far over. Yep, that's the right way to do it. And what I probably should do is put a little glue dot on there like I did. Where did I put? There they are. Little glue dot on there so that I can stick it to the flowers, just like I did with the little leaf from the flowers. Oop, let go. There we go. Got one more backing on here. All right, then we're going to take that. And again, I've got my little glue dot under this side, and I'm just going to take it and stick it here to the edge of the flowers. And dimensionals under here. The last thing on the card front is I've got a couple of the adhesive back milky dots, which these are kind of my new favorite embellishment. They the colors in them, I think they say this is Mango Melody. This one is supposed to be Night of Navy, Petal Pink, and White, I think are the colors they say they are. But they seem to match a lot of colors. So feel free to use them on other things besides with those. But I knew they matched the paper, so that was kind of why I grabbed them, because they're in the whole same suite, that Regency Park suite. And they're pretty. So there we go. A couple of the Night of Navy little gems, and we're going to stick those on the card front, and the card front is done. So, all right, on the inside of the card, kept it also pretty simple here. Just did a little more stamping with that same technique that I used on the card front. There's a little different stem in here. So this is a smaller marigold in here. So this is a single flower. Whoop, come on, right off screen. So I've got single flower, and then here's the stem that goes with the single flower. And again, I've got my shaded spruce ink. I'm going to ink up the stem, the solid stem image, and stamp it on the scrap paper. And then stamp it here, down here in the corner. And then same thing with the little, whoop, here's my little, I don't know, spriggy thingy, whatever, leaf detail-y thing. There we go. Stamp that over the two leaves and close up this ink pad. And then I'm going to grab my Mango Melody again. It wasn't on your list. Yes. See, just add them all, and then you're never sad. That's my theory on it. So, all right. So we got Mango Melody for the ink here. And again, this is the more detailed of the two flowers. And as you can see, there's a little kind of V, hopefully you can see it here, in the bottom of the flower. And you're just going to line up the V in the bottom of the flower with the V on these stems. And you're just going to stamp it like that. And then hopefully you get something that looks like it's where it's supposed to be and a real flower. Then I'm going to grab my crushed curry ink, and again, same thing. We've got the more solid image. So, and this is crushed curry ink. Going to ink that up, stamp it on the scrap paper, and again, you can see the little V in there. So you're just going to line up the little V again. That one's pretty easy to line up. So there we go. And we've got our little flower down here. To me, this one almost looks like a carnation, but I know it's, it's magnolia or marigolds, what they're calling it. To me, I don't know. I think you could call it a carnation too if you wanted to. But all right, so we've got that one on the inside of the card. We're going to grab a little Stampin' seal and adhere the two pieces together. Oop, maybe. If my Stampin' seal, it's not wanting to behave, so we'll resort to the liquid glue, which is my least favorite, but my Stampin' seal is stuck, so there we go. Half and half. Try not to stick my fingers in the glue. Let me grab my, smacking into my lights, grab my card base here, stick this on the inside. All right, adhere it down. Give it a little squeeze here to make sure I've got the liquid glue fairly set, and then I'm going to take this and flip it over here so that hopefully I don't smash my embossing too much when I do the little crease down the edge. And that's it. So super simple. And yes, you all need to get this bundle. Just don't even ask the question, just get it. So thanks so much for joining me today. I appreciate you being here. I'm glad that you're loving this card because I really liked the way it turned out, and I really love this bundle, and I hope that you all do too. Again, feel free to drop me a note if you have any questions. I'll be posting a link directly to my blog post for this card, which will give you all the measurements, all the details. You can find it in the description of the video starting tomorrow, which is Wednesday. But I will plan to see you all on Friday around 2 o'clock Eastern time, and then back here again next week, Tuesday around 2 o'clock Eastern time. And I appreciate you all the kind comments from last week, Friday. I apologize about missing the video, but, a trip to the ER with my husband was probably more important than the video. So I was glad you all understood, and he's doing fine. He's back to work, so everything is good. And just wanted to say thank you, and I appreciate all the kind thoughts and all the prayers. So that is all. I guess I will let you all go. If you have questions about celebration, questions about joining, holler. I'd love to chat with you more about it. And again, just stop by my blog for all the details. Talk to you all soon.